love this book. Hi guys, it's Bella and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited for this video because we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite romance books that I've read and that I love to recommend to other people. I feel like on every single video I post, I get tons of comments asking for book recommendations, whether it's romances or YA, getting into reading, thrillers, fantasy, etc., and all of the above. So I thought it'd be fun to go through my shelves and pick my top 10 favorite romances I've read and kind of go through them and recommend them to you guys so you have some books to add to your TBRs. It was really hard to narrow it down to just 10, and a lot of these books I read like last year or the year before, so I had to refresh my memory. But let's just get right into it. Let's go through my top 10 favorite romances to recommend to other people. We're gonna start with a classic. If you're on Book Talk, you've definitely heard of this book. It's The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and this one is one of those books where I just sat down to read it. I really didn't know anything about it, and then next thing I knew I was finishing it, and I felt like I had gone through a time warp, which is really relevant for this story because this is about our main character named Clementine, super cute name, and she moves into her late aunt's apartment, and her aunt always said that her apartment was magical, and she never really knew what she meant by that. But when she moves into this apartment, she walks in the door and there's like a super attractive man standing in her apartment, okay? She's like, what the heck? And the crazy thing about this is he actually exists in the past, 7 years in the past to be exact. And Clementine literally lives 7 years in the future. And so whenever she goes home to her apartment, she's either going to walk into 7 years in the past where this guy is, or she's going to be in present day 7 years in the future where she's alone in her apartment. I like this quote on the back. It says, "Love is never a matter of time, but a matter of timing, and Clementine fears that she may be 7 years too late." So it's about a romance stretched over the length of time, and they're living in different timelines, in a way, because he's 7 years in the past, and it's all about their romance. And this book is so good. I'm pretty sure I cried while reading this. It got me really emotional, and I read it in one sitting. I could not put it down. This is a 5-star read for me, so I definitely recommend reading this if that sounds good to you. Okay, I'm a huge Lynn Painter fan, okay? And I feel like most people put Better Than the Movies on their favorites list, but I'm gonna switch it up. I'm actually going to put The Do-Over, which was my first Lynn Painter book that I actually read, and it's still my favorite to this day. So our main character's name is Emily, and she is living Valentine's Day over and over again, and it's like a Groundhog's Day situation. She's stuck in some sort of time loop nightmare where on Valentine's Day, she watches her boyfriend Josh cheat on her. There's another guy named Nick who she just can't seem to escape on this day. For some reason, they keep running into each other. And it's just about how many days does she have to go through living it over and over again until she's able to break the cycle. And I had such a fun time reading this book. It's a YA romance. It's just so cheesy and like cheeky and fun, and I was giggling the whole time, and I really like the main character, and I really like the guy Nick that she seems to like always run into, and the cover is also so adorable. Sorry if it's not focusing, but I love this book. If you like Lynn Painter books, or if you're looking for like a cute YA romance, I definitely recommend this one. Let's talk about one of my favorite books I read last year, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and she just knows how to write good romance, okay? It's good romance, but also like so heartfelt and deep and meaningful, and she just knows what she's doing. So our two main characters believe they're cursed, okay? And they've noticed this pattern where every time they're in a relationship and they break up with that partner then goes on to meet their soulmate, and they just think they're absolutely cursed. So they decide, they actually meet on a Reddit thread, which I thought was so fun. They decide to try to fake date each other and then hopefully break up and then go on to meet their soulmates, since they both think they're cursed. Obviously, we know how it goes. I actually annotated this book. I thought it was so good. It's so just like, she just puts in like super meaningful and you know, deeper topics into her romances that make you feel like so attached to the characters because they're going through way more than what you may think. It's not just like a light fluffy romance, and I had the best time with this. It was literally so fun, and I cannot wait for her next book that comes out this year. She's literally my, like, an auto-buy author in my top 5. I love her book so much. Add this to your TBRs. I have this book by Hannah Grace. It's Wildfire, and I think I maybe gave this 4 stars, but this is my favorite Hannah Grace book. There's Icebreaker, Wildfire, and then Daydream, and I feel like Icebreaker is the one that everyone talks about, but Wildfire was by far my favorite one. So it follows Russ and Aurora, and they do go to the same college. They do go to the same college, and they actually start the book off by having a one-night stand, and it's, you know, crazy as one-night stands are. And then days later they actually run into each other at a summer camp because they both got jobs at a summer camp, and they both have pretty complicated home lives. That's another one where there's like deeper conversations to be had, but it is so fun because there are these camp counselors, and they're having to sneak around the summer camp to try to hang out and hook up with each other, and it was just so fun. I absolutely loved this book. I ate it up. I think I read it in one sitting, and this is definitely my favorite Hannah Grace book, so I'm excited to see what she does next because the summer camp, like, storyline was so fun. Megan Quinn has a book, it's actually a series now, called Bridesmaid for Hire, and this is the first one in that series, and it's my favorite one that has come out so far. And basically our main character's name is Maggie, and she's an event planner, and she needs some like well-deserved time off. So she decides to head to Bora Bora for a nice vacation. But when she gets there, she runs into her brother's best friend, Brody, who is her sworn enemy. They have tons of tension between the two because they've just never got along. Brother's best friend, you know the vibes. And then she finds out that he's actually on the island for his boss's daughter's wedding, hoping to kind of win over the boss to, you know, help with the future of his company, kind of. And there's actually a bridesmaid who kind of backed out at the end, and so she is sort of hired as a bridesmaid for hire in this wedding that Brody is there for. She needs to pose as Brody's girlfriend to get the job as the bridesmaid for hire. So, you know, hand-holding, kissing, and sharing a one-bed bungalow with her sworn enemy. Some serious tension, slow burn in this book. Just like so fun, like cat and mouse kind of back and forth because they really do hate each other. Brother's best friend, I mean, you get it. Okay, Finding 13. This is one of the best books I feel like I've ever read. This whole series is like, just holds a special place in my heart. I literally love all the books so much. And while this is a romance, it is much more than that. And I definitely recommend reading trigger warnings if you are interested in reading this series because it is really intense and it goes over like some really serious topics. But our main character's name is Shannon, and she is this petite little thing who has had a extremely hard life. She's been bullied and gone through tons of abuse in her life, and she ends up switching schools midway through the school year for a fresh start. And then our MMC's name is Johnny, and he is like the king of the school. He's like the star rugby player, you know, he's gonna go on to do great things with his life in rugby, and he wants nothing to do with relationships, he wants no distractions, he only wants to focus on rugby. And then here comes little Shannon, and Shannon captures his attention right away, and he feels this like need to protect her because she's had such a hard life, and he can visibly see that she's had a hard time. And so he kind of, you know, they start like a little hidden friendship, and then there's undeniable chemistry, and they kind of go through that, even though it might cost them both a lot. So I definitely recommend this book. I've cried multiple times reading this book, and it literally just, it just hits me in a place. So yeah, but read the trigger warnings just in case. We're gonna talk about an indie release. This is Picking Peaches by Ansley B. Calloway. You can actually read this on Kindle Unlimited, and then it's also on Amazon if you want a physical copy. It's a really short read. It's literally 225 pages, but this is one of the most fun romances I've ever read. I was giggling and kicking my feet the entire time. It starts off with our main character named Georgia, and she kind of gets in a little tiff with a stranger at a grocery store, kind of harassing him in a way, and then imagine her surprise when she finds out that he's her new next door neighbor. He is the single dad next door. He's very hot, and he also insists on helping her move in, even though she sort of harassed him at the grocery store the previous day. MMC Ashton really hasn't focused on anything more than his daughter in the last 5 years, and her name is Ruth, and she is probably one of my favorite kids that I've read about in a book. Like, I feel like sometimes with single parent romances, the kid can be kind of annoying, like, being totally honest. But Ruth is literally so cute and so adorable. Like, all of her scenes, I swear I was giggling. Like, she made them so funny. So I loved her. And so they're next door neighbors. He's a single dad and she's a writer, and they end up just developing a romance. And my favorite thing about this book is that him and Ruth love to ding dong ditch her and while she's working, and so every day she gets a little ring on the bell and she knows that it's them, and every time she opens the door there's some sort of surprise, whether it's flowers or chocolate or coffee or food. They're always surprising her with like little things every day to get her through her writing process. And it is so sweet. So I definitely recommend this. Again, it's on Kindle Unlimited if you have a Kindle, so definitely check this one out. Okay, I've actually talked about this book a lot because it was one of my favorite books I read last year. It's The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. And this one is so fun. If you're a fan of The Good Place, I feel like you'd really like this book because it's so similar in concept. So basically, our main character's name is Delphi, and she dies at the beginning of this book, okay? And she immediately goes to the afterlife, and she's got her afterlife correspondent, and while she's waiting in the afterlife waiting room, she sees someone who she thinks is like so attractive, and he's also just passed away. She literally feels like he's her soulmate. Then they end up finding out that he was not supposed to die, he's not supposed to be there, so he's sent back to Earth. And she is so distraught because she's like, no, that was my soulmate. Like, how dare you take away my soulmate? So she makes a deal with the afterlife to basically have a certain amount of days to go back down to Earth, try to find this man, and he has to kiss her by a certain day. And if she can pull it off, she can stay on Earth and not go back to the afterlife. Such a fun book, and there's more characters in it that come in and have really important roles that you wouldn't have expected. It's just so fun, and she embarrasses herself so many times in this book, I feel like, and I just ate it up every single time. I loved Delphi. She's such a fun character, and this is just a really fun read, so I really recommend this one. Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is the third book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and this one was my favorite by far. Our MMC's name is Gus, and he is a single dad, and he's got a lot on his plate. He takes care of his family's 8,000-acre ranch, and then parenting his 6-year-old daughter who stays with him for the summer. He's always been the really dependable one, but his workload is starting to overwhelm him. And then Teddy is our female main character, and she's kind of going through a lot too. She's just recently lost her job, and her best friend just got engaged, and she's kind of just in this rough place. Teddy's best friend is Gus's sister. So best friend's brother. We know the vibes. She recommends that Teddy should take over as the babysitter for Gus's daughter. And because, she needs a job and he's getting overwhelmed, and it's like the perfect match. So she ends up moving into their house on the days that she's babysitting to help them. So we got some forced proximity. We got nanny's single dad working on a ranch. The tension in this book, oh my god, I freaking loved it so much. This is definitely my favorite. I can't wait for her next one, like Wild and Wrangled, I think. It comes out really soon. Literally can't wait. And then our 10th book that we're going to talk about is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I love this book. I actually had an arc of it on NetGalley like months before it came out, and I felt like I couldn't talk about it because, oh my god, it's so good. Okay, so our MMC's name is Aiden Valentine, okay, and he is a radio host for a popular romance hotline, but he does not believe in love, okay? And then Lucy is our female main character, and she's doing fine. She has a slightly devious kid, she's a single parent, and one day her daughter calls into the romance hotline and is asking for dating advice for her mom from Aiden. And then it kind of sends their town into a frenzy because they love this little girl, they love the mom's story, and then she kind of becomes like an overnight sensation. and Aiden ends up asking her to come onto the radio show and be like a reoccurring person on the show to talk about romance and dating, because his show's not doing very well. You know, he doesn't believe in love anymore, and he literally runs a romance hotline, so he needs someone who does believe in love to help him out. Such a good book. And another thing I want to leave you with is he ends up keeping a note in the glove box of his car of all of her favorite things, so he never forgets. I love this book. Those were all 10 books, my favorite romances that I love to recommend to other people. I hope you guys got some ideas from this list. Please let me know if you've read any of them and what your thoughts were, and then recommend some romances to me. I don't read romance as much as I read like thrillers and fantasy, but I do love a good romance here and there, so definitely give me your recommendations. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time when I post a new video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys like book content, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!